Who messaged me? If you want to drag me down, you can. Okay.
User was moved to your
Right.
channel.
There you go.
Yeah, can go to the channel.
I know. I found that out. Beforehand, I should.
One. My odd. Well, all updated. Awesome. You don't have me auto-hosted or nothing, do you? Do we want to set up multi-stream or what? Okay. That. Um. Cool. Um. Am I able to chuck up on the main channel? Nope. It's. I don't have the rights to do that. God damn it! Can you put up the stream URL in the? Yeah. Alright, multi-Twitch TV, cool. Watching, cool.
Tweet.
Alright. Ness. Wolves of Jonai Wullfpack Community Podcast. My name is Commander Jathaal, and with me I have Commander SirSuperDeath and
Hello.
Commander Rhodey. Super is also our co-host. You'll hear his voice on all of these. We're aiming to do these sort of weekly and doing some hot takes on the bits and pieces around the Elite Dangerous community, as well as science and world stuff in general. Welcome, gents.
Hello.
Alright, so our first little thing. We've had 3.0 for roughly the last sort of month. What are you guys' opinions on how the state of the game is at the moment, moving forward?
I guess I'll go first. Always the most daunting. I guess there's a lot of things that I think Frontier in general are doing wrong, but there's a lot of things they're doing right. So one of them is the changes to engineers. Getting rid of the RNG, or a lot of the RNG, doing a lot of things like that. I think they are also trying to go away from the whole CGs to try and progress the story, which is really nice for them to do that. Which again is something they were doing wrong, which is trying to put a lot of the story behind CGs. So I guess they're doing good in a lot of ways. So yeah, they're getting better.
Well, let me ask you this then. How do you think the game is progressing in terms of like roadmaps and stuff like that? Do you feel like they are actively improving the game for all its
Hey,
shortfalls?
wake
Do you
up.
think it is actually getting better?
I will ban danger fence. I would say yes, they are. They're getting better in a lot of ways, and at the same time, there's a lot of things that they're doing wrong, which of course is normal with a game developer, because not every game developer is perfect. There's a lot of things that they're dealing with, which they said they're going to be dealing with around Q4. Like for example, the combat logging issue, to where people would fucking just combat log on somebody, and that's just stupid in every way. So it depends on what they'll do with that. And at the moment, the roadmap, what they're doing is looking good. Like this update that they just came in with was okay. There's just a lot of the whole nerfing of missions and removing missions and all of that stuff, which is a bit like, what are you doing, guys? Type of thing.
Well,
Roddy, what are your thoughts?
one of the biggest problems that I have, and this is like consistent with what happened before the 3.0, is making money in the game consistently. I mean, there are ways to make money, some ways, but, and I'm not talking about exploits or stuff like that. It's like, for example, at one point you could make money with mining. At one point you could make money with, massacre missions or different things and passengers, whatever. It seems that it's inconsistent, and especially when you're a player that like has a lot of big ships like cutters, corvettes, that you need expensive modules. Sometimes it's difficult just to, get that updated, get all that money that you need to have that.
Yeah, and a lot of the problem I've seen through Reddit and Twitter and all of that is a lot of complaints in regard to if there is a gold rush. I've seen this on. If there is a gold rush, guaranteed FDev is straight onto it because it's not working as intended. While, yeah, that might be true, like there might be a bug in missions like that, one of my concerns is that them removing
Hey,
those
wake up.
avenues of making a lot of money a lot of fast is a good way to piss off your community no end. And it's a bit concerning.
Yeah, and
Microphone
something that
activated.
can't remember who I was talking with. This might have been you guys actually, but one of the things that I saw, remember back when you could only take missions according to whatever rank you have, whether it be trade or combat or whatever, elite or
Channel
dangerous
edited.
or
That was me.
whatever it was.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sure,
you
man.
distracted me. I forgot what I was saying. No, like I was saying, like it used to be like early in the games, and eventually they removed this. Like let's say if you were, like a peddler, you wouldn't be able to take like a tycoon or elite mission. And I think that would be a good way to like manage. Okay, who can make X amount of money? Because you don't necessarily want also like the new players to, be in the game for 2 weeks and like be flying a cutter or something like that. If they don't know how to
agreed,
fly or
At the
how
same
to
time,
play that.
I did bring up a post of this on Reddit. I'll see if I can find it and chuck it up in chat. But basically have it so that any earnings were scaled, and they were scaled up a fair bit more, so that late game players could make more money a lot more reliably. So someone did actually post back on that, saying that you can't actually see any mission that ranked 3 ranks more than you.
Danger Vince said
There is
he
a system.
he wants to come down as well, but I think
User was moved to your channel.
there you go, Danger Vince. I think like in general, that is the thing. Like that's what they used to do, isn't it? Like back in the day.
You had a lot of limitations back in the day.
Yeah, like back in the day, say for example, you had you wanted to pick up this elite exploration mission. No, it was combat. It was you wanted to pick up this elite combat, assassination combat mission, for example. It was elite. You couldn't if you were, dangerous or like basically not elite, because it was a challenge, and then there was lots of people that were complaining and saying, hey, well, why aren't you letting me go and do these crazy ass dangerous missions? You're kind of limiting me by my rank, which you shouldn't be. But I think in general you should be limited by your rank, because then that
Well,
makes you for something
the
that you
thing
want
is
to
that
get.
your rank is a good measure of how long you spend in the game. So
It's like I'm gonna bring another RPG. I'm gonna bring Warcraft into this because that's something I haven't played in a while, but I played a long time ago. And like for example, when you're a noob in Warcraft, there's certain areas you're not gonna go because you're gonna get your ass kicked.
yeah,
Okay.
and
like
one of my first problems was I went straight out of the human starting area
Microphone muted.
east, I believe, and ended up in a level 20 area as a level 5, which I
Yeah.
died, obviously. But
Yeah, no,
that
exactly.
was a big barrier of entry. But the thing is that your level in that game is, again, it's a measure of how long you spent in games. So
Yeah.
realistically, you should be able to not only take on more powerful, more dangerous enemies, but for progression purposes, because bigger ships cost more money, better modules cost more money, you should have those sort of progression systems in the game.
Yeah,
I think
but
that
the-
FDev needs to take a better look at how they progress. Just so you know, Danger Vince, we're currently just talking about the state of the game post 3.0 and what FDev is doing right and what they're doing wrong, in our opinion.
Yeah, one of the issues that I had, and I know people complain about this, is uh, for different reasons. It's the AI. Like I remember there was a point where we had like extremely difficult elite AI, where like I was like, well, I'm elite anaconda. I'm not gonna mess with it because it's gonna kill me. I don't see that anymore. Like the other day, I was in a courier. It's not that modified. I reset my game not too long ago, so I don't have like that many engineers, and my ship's not that good. I was able to kill an anaconda on a courier.
Yeah, and
Microphone activated.
just after, I don't know if you remember, Rody, not long after that was the state of AI, in that they were that skillful that no matter what, were actually legitimately afraid of going into combat with, deadly, dangerous,
Yeah.
deadly, dangerous, and elite AI, because
Which
they were legitimately strong. But
I
just
think that should
after
be the
that
case.
situation happened, sorry to keep talking, but just after that situation happened, I don't know if you remember, but we had AI that was basically a potato. The old
Yep.
school spinning fertile ants comes to mind in that situation.
The spin of death.
Hey, they were
No.
good, but like they were stupid. I think the main problem in that situation is that Frontier can't work out what they want to do with the AI.
I'm not talking about like you'll remember the super plasma rail multi cannon.
God,
I'm not talking about that. That was a glitch.
wasn't
That was a
actually
glitch.
a bug that's a feature. That was a legitimate bug that was
Now,
just
Frontier-
broken.
Frontier, give me that weapon, but just kidding. But like I mean, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the specific one. Yeah, you had like elite dangerous AI that was actually dangerous, and I don't think everybody was capable to take on them. And I think that should be the case. Like, I mean, I don't think every anaconda in the game should be like one of them that you'd be afraid of, to take on your own. But if you're like a new player, maybe you want to think, well, maybe I don't want to piss off every single ship that's on this Hastrips.
And just to bring it back to chat, yeah, Cerberus, the AI does feel dumb. And realistically, at the moment, it is. Like, if I can basically coast behind a elite, the other day it was an elite clipper, I believe, and they were garbage. Yeah, there you go. Swollen Blobfish. I took on a elite dropship, and I'm in a friend. Unengineered dolphins with only railguns.
It's a great mental image.
Yeah, that's coming out of the chat.
Yeah.
Just as a good example of what's going on. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't surprise me at the moment, Blobfish, because AI is a bit trash.
There's also the hilarious moment which I laugh about all the time, and it was when we were having our CG, our trade CG, and you'd get interdicted in a cutter filled with 720 tons, because yes, I have a docking computer because I'm lazy, and you'd get interdicted. I was alt tabbed. I was on YouTube, just pissing around, wondering, finding music and all that stuff, and I hear the introduction go off, and I'm like, okay, I'm being interdicted. And then I look back at the screen. Introduction complete. I didn't move. I didn't do anything, and I won the introduction. Like,
Wow.
if that's not a bug, what is that?
That's either a bug or just piss poor AI. So,
No,
Danger
but-
Vince, did you want to jump in on this?
Yeah, I'm playing for about 2 years now, and pretty much went through everything from the spinning NPCs to the oh my god, they're over engineered and why is my ship melting stage, which that was fun, kind of, but it was also coupled with you got an NPC down to a certain hull strength, they would just run and they would boost away and you would just never catch them. You'd go back to that and remove that ridiculous boost state. I think we'd be in a better position for Hazres sites. When I go into Hazres site, I don't feel threatened at all. I'll either go in a PvE ship, or I'll go in like my Fedlance, or sometimes I'll go in my Corvette. And 2 nights ago, I took out a wing of three anacondas, and they barely scratched me.
I remember back in the day, Ash, I don't know if she's watching, but Ash will remember this. And it's when we were out bounty hunting, and then all of a sudden a wing of like 4 anacondas came boosting towards us. This is back when like when engineers weren't even a thing, and when anacondas were okay-ish. They weren't crazy good, but they were like actually kind of a challenge. And when all of them like anacondas flipped around, there was like four anacondas, and I got Jada Stormcrow to shoot one of them, and they all flipped around. They started shooting. We were running. We were scared. But now it's when that happens, you're like, oh well.
Money.
Yeah,
Anaconda, pay up.
that's what comes down to at the moment is that I do remember that as well. When like in any ship that you happen to be flying, if you look at something like an Anaconda, which is supposed to be a late game vessel, and you can just go, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That's
No, like-
actually a bit sad. You actually should have to fight. Go ahead, Roddy.
Not only do you think, oh, shit, I can kill. You're thinking like Anaconda. That's a lot of money. I need to kill that.
Yeah.
You don't think whether it's dangerous or not. I mean, I'm gonna mention this. I've been playing the game for a while. I've been with the Wullfpack for a while. I recently reset my save because I kind of was bored with it, and that's kind of stupid, kind of crazy because I have to do all the grind again. But I mean, as soon as I got into an adder, I was going to Hazardous, you know, and I didn't feel threatened. I mean, I wasn't pissing off every single ship, but again, I was in a Hazardous and I didn't feel in danger at all.
Also, remember, the only thing that makes NPCs, elite NPCs, scary is not that they are skilled, it's not that they have slightly engineered ships. That does kind of, make them a little bit scary, but it's that they have infinite shield cell banks, infinite chaff, infinite heat sinks. It's like, that's the thing that is wrong with AI. That would make them better.
At the same time, I wouldn't go so far as to say that they are scary as a result of having all of that. I'd say that's more for anyone like you or I,
Yeah,
or
agreed.
Brody,
It's
it'd probably still be the
annoyance.
same for you, or Danger Vince, same for you.
Mhm.
It's less of a fear factor and more of a, oh, god damn it, stop popping fucking
Yep.
shield cells, you OP dick. Heat doesn't bother them, they've got unlimited ammo, it's a legitimate annoyance. They should run out of ammo, they should run out of shield cells just like the rest
Now-
of us. Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna be fair. I understand why that's done. Like
Yep.
when it comes into like server power, the ability, what it would take to calculate all that.
Yeah,
So I understand why that happens. It's more of an annoyance, but I understand why that happens. But it's annoying to see like an Anaconda with two chaff launchers, because they're like constantly chaffing.
There's a lot of weird things, but at the same time, like there's a lot of great things. Like like when they have first brought in the armed response unit. I don't know what they're called, AMPR. I don't know, but when they first brought them in,
Ships.
yeah, that respond to when you get a galactic bounty. When it was me and Scottish Roscoe, I think it was, we were pissing around on the beta, killing ships, doing our normal shit, and we both had Galactic Federation bounties, and like that was actually quite scary because you couldn't actually dock at a station. Well, you could dock at a station, you just had to be really, really quick, and you'd probably end up getting scanned, and then guess what? Your ship's blown up. And then what made that even more scary is because we were trying to get the armed response units to show up. We watched the number go down from around, it was 4 minutes estimated security response, and it got down to the point where it was 30 seconds and then 20 seconds security response. And like that'd be really, like that's actually a lot more of a challenge when it comes to, hey, guess what? Here's some security response. You have 20 seconds to kill this target that's pressed their like silent alarm per se, and you have to kill them in time. And if you don't, armed response jump in, and then they're like, "Fuck your shit," and they wreck you like quite quickly. Which everyone complains about the armed response units being, in quotes, they have station guns and are overpowered, and in general, shouldn't they be overpowered? Shouldn't they be a deterrent to stop people from being, a cunt per se, or
Yeah, I
a
think
terrible person.
they're supposed to basically be Concord from Eve.
Yeah, like
That's what it comes
it's
down
pointless
to.
nerfing them. Like a lot of people want them nerfed, and I think Frontier did nerf them a little bit.
This is like the SWAT team of the security forces,
Yeah.
It should be
Yeah.
badass.
You don't just laugh at a SWAT team and pull out a shotgun and start shooting SWAT team. No, you shit yourself when SWAT team turn up at your house. Like,
Well,
yeah.
what do you? Here's another question that I've got. I do actually have a list of questions written
Oh,
down.
shit.
So for anyone that's actually watching my cam on chat, I have a drawer that's here. It does have a list of questions on it. So I
Wow.
do actually have a plan for this. Don't worry. What are you guys looking forward to that Elite Dangerous could or should add, and what would you implore FDev to focus on?
I'm gonna say clans, and well, okay, let's just use one word that can sum it all up in one easy word: corporations. That's the easiest way to describe it. Basically, I know people complain a lot when I say things that are in EVE Online. EVE Online do a lot of things well, and doing something like corporations or clans or clan hierarchy to where you can research things and all that stuff, basically making community goals for groups obsolete and would be pointless. That's what they should do, and I think that's what they should focus on. Maybe modular mega ships or something.
Something
That'd be
that
cool.
they did bring up, and that was actually touched on lightly, and has been already touched on lightly here, is that removing the need for story behind community goals, as well as individual progression. I think that individual progression should be looked at a little bit more broadly as progression as a group. So, regardless of how big your corp or whatever they end up calling it, if they do end up creating that as a system, it should be progression not only as yourself, but also as a group. So, you personally getting bigger, better ships, but also you getting, you're right, Roddy, you also having assistance with your group, assisting your group in doing research and developing better gear,
Yep.
and as a result being rewarded for your time, which it's something that Eve's done, it's something that Warframe's done with their clan system.
It's something World of Warships do with their clan system. I know I'm not really involved in the clans when it comes to World of Warships, but what World of Warships do is this is at least from word of mouth and me hearing people talk about it, is they make it so that you make a shipyard in World of Warships, and you can basically build ships, and you'll basically get a discount for people in your clan. They will be able to get that discount, and obviously depending on the size of your clan, maybe the more bigger ships you'll be able to make and stuff. You could do something like that with Elite, to where for example Gemini makes a shipyard, and it makes it so that orcas or pythons, or maybe there you go, pythons are cheaper, maybe 20% cheaper if you're with the clan. Not so you just jump around to all of these faction systems and you're like, oh well, I'm going to Adele's Armada space because they've got pythons or third lances for 40% off, because something to the point where you actually have to join the clan and help them and be with them for a fair amount of time and actually give them stuff to get the discount.
A system
Welcome
like
back.
that would be in place, or should be in place. Welcome back, Roddy. Insofar as to say, if you were to attain a certain rank, as in you've done X amount of goals with the clan, gone out mining, brought back minerals for production of ships, for your personal station, or whatever it actually happens to be, your clan has completed the research for that item, or be it a gun, be it an internal module, be it a ship, whatever it actually happens to be. But also something that chat's brought up, Smiling Bobfish said they need to improve surfaces, like more interactions, more SRVs, surface salvaging more viable as a money-making method. I absolutely agree.
Yep.
That is something that I used to do back in the day, and that was mainly, absolutely, just really pushing that whole, if you want to do it as an actual sandbox, if you want to do it and make money doing it, and it is viable, the game should open up every opportunity to make that so.
imagine when they do the, sorry to keep talking, but imagine when they do the exploration overhaul, which I'm sure they said they were going to do. Correct me if I'm wrong.
On the roadmap.
And yeah, they wanted to add caves and underground
Yes.
places.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
imagine
That.
if they did something like that, caves on planets, that would be beautiful. And then they said, okay, guys, we've added this new ship to the game. Its sole purpose is to basically be a quarry, to place it on a planet, and you can like dig stuff around it or something like that. Basically make a quarry have to the point where you can dig out massive chunks of planets with maybe dynamite or some crap, I don't know, and pull out massive amounts of resources, which would make the whole clans or whatever thing, if they added that, would make that more of a better thing to do, because you'd make it so that the things had like a large amount of money needed behind them for you to buy one.
Yeah, I
Everything.
think that would be something that'd be more of a late game
Agreed.
plan goal. Just as more a matter of if you've got the access to this ship, you could effectively not only make it into a quarry and get materials out of it, but at the same time, if you wanted to spend the extra money, you could also make that into a planetary base, sort of thing. Just more of a initial station, quote unquote, sort of thing.
Yep.
Alright, Rhodey, what things are you looking forward to, and what do you think that FDev should focus on?
Oh, I've been thinking about that, and like I said, I was looking forward for some of the exploration things that they were talking about, because I do like exploring. I don't necessarily find it boring as some people do. I would like to see some extra SRVs, like not necessarily just for variety in the sense of like, oh, I need to have something that looks different, but maybe something that's either slower and more beefy, or something that's like faster but maybe more easy to wreck. Stuff like that, I think, would be more interesting for like exploring planets and things like that.
Yeah, and I do believe they've already got concept art for other SRVs,
Yep.
Yeah,
and we've
they do.
looked at in TS and all of that. Bit of things with chat. Also, the patch notes 3.0, they said things such as geysers and volcanism would be easy to have. I actually have something to add to that blobfish. At the moment, I'm about 15k LY out, doing a galactic circumnavigation. If you want to watch that, I do have a channel. But I've found so far, just going down to planets just for mainly the shits and gigs, and I want to get out of space and drive around for a little bit. I have actually found that geysers and that, depending on how severe they are, you can often see some jets being shot out to space, and that's also a matter of the planetary mass. There is a lot of mathy, astrophys bullshit and astronomy that goes into that, but it does exist, and they are a bit easy to find, which I find quite good. So Danger Vince, what are you looking forward to, and what do you think they should focus on, man?
Personally speaking, more ships and more things to shoot at. I think when you go into a Hajres site, it can get very samey. You're either shooting out Imperials, or you sit there and go, oh, a minute, there's an Imperial Eagle. It must be wanted, and 9 times out of 10, it is. So a bit more variety when you go in would be nice. I think what they really need to do is, because there's so many different clans or corporations out there, actually have a proper expansion. Pretty much like what, not to go back to EVE Online, but pretty much like what you've got in EVE Online with nullsec.
Yep.
If your corporation wants to expand and attack another one, do so. But the core kind of high sec areas, they're pretty much off bounds for that kind of expansion. So, you couldn't have someone take over Seoul, for example, or Morop. But I think that would add a lot more life to the game.
Like,
Alright, so you're talking about specifically like player-driven structures, the placement of either asteroid stations or
I think
planetary
it needs
bases,
it.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, if when we go back to John I, we know, yeah, we're back in home soil, so
Yep.
to speak. But an outsider, it's like, well, just
Cool.
Well,
It's
you're right.
it's just a system. Yeah. It's
there's
nothing.
no flavour to it, which I think sadly lacking because, you've got Commander Josh Hawkins that he's got his own kind of live stream, and he does his own videos on Sundays, and they've got their own corp called Turgeon Starstone, or is it Starstone Industries? Those guys are in their own system. If I go and visit their home system, I'd quite like to see kind of references to them.
Yeah, yeah, completely agreed. Like, there's probably two things that you'd say to, and it's, say for example, if nobody knows how background sim works, I can quickly describe to you. But you go to war in a system. This is the easiest TLDR way to describe it. You go to war in a system. You then fight over a said object in said system, and one of you may win. So, say for example, Wars of Jedi win a war against the Purple Hand Gang, and you win that, and then, say for example, the Purple Hand Gang hold a station, they hold a Coriolis, you then take that station, the Wars of Jedi would. Then all that changes really in that situation is Wars of Jedi get added as the controlling faction of that system on the system map, of the station on the system map, and that's it. And it's like, well, cool. It would be really nice to have like a decal that actually goes on the side of the station and all that jazz that says like Walls of Jedi or whoever.
A little bit further to that, Super. Like,
I
does
have
anyone
something
else?
afterwards.
And I want to put this out as a question to both you guys and chat. Does anyone else feel like the current state of how war works is incredibly dry?
Yeah.
Like, it's really freaking dry.
Like,
Like,
I-
you go in, you've
You kill
done
shit.
your background sim stuff, you've gotten your rep low enough, and there's high enough that you can trigger yourself a war. And then
Yep.
there's conflict zones that happen, and you just beat the piss out of them until they
You go
fall,
in, pick a side, you
rise,
kill.
and
Yep.
win.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
is so fucking dry. I'd like to be able to do station assaults. Actually,
Well,
go in and actively take them by force.
Station and ground assaults,
you
that'd be
know,
kind of cool.
with the,
Yep.
with the mechanics that we have right now, one idea that I had was, well, if you want to take over station, then why don't you do like, how we have certain passenger missions? Well, simulate they were like smuggling military personnel on board. So if you get like certain quota personnel, then maybe that's something required to assault that station, if that makes any sense. So it'd be kind of like a smuggling mission, but you're doing it for, taking over a Coriolis or an outpost or whatever.
Alright,
Yep.
just to chuck something from chat. Blobfish, I don't quite know how the spawning rules work.
I could tell you.
As to if they have any alterations based on who's in system or in the area and all of that. But I'd say that sort of thing's a little bit more anecdotal than a hard and fast rule. Just due to the fact of I've done mining in low res, I've done mining in high res, I've done mining in haz res, and haz res, yeah, there's no security. Low and high res, yeah, there's security and that exists and that's cool, but
Yep.
like
You also
you're
get more
trying to
resources,
say
by the way.
there is a risk.
You get Demas recently found out. I think it was a Demas, and it was that if you go to Hazres, you get significantly more resources than if you were to go to a low resource extraction site or whatever. Basically,
A
it's
lot of people have
based on
argued
how
that
close
as
you are.
well.
And also the spawning mechanic works. A lot of people have worked out, or at least guessed, that the spawn mechanic works out based on what ship you're in, based on what ship you're in, based on what combat rank you are, and all that jazz. And if there's any commanders in your instance and all that stuff. It's probably some really confusing stuff. I would like to get a developer maybe on the podcast one day. That'd be really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. If we can get our hands on a developer and say, hey, jump in, we'd actually like to have a chat to you about some of the math behind how your game works, or as a matter of curiosity than trying to exploit it just because we want to know. Alright. Conflict zone and enemy had 3 NPC corvettes, and my side no top tier shit.
That's a roll of the dice.
Yeah.
That's RNG, mate. Unfortunately, that is straight up just RNGesus saying, haha, bend over.
It also depends on if the other faction is Federation or not.
Sit and discuss for the next few minutes. I'll be right back. I need to just take a quick bio.
Oh, wow.
But, the podcast will keep going with these guys in tow.
Oh.
Back.
Oh, this is gonna be riveting.
Super's in charge.
the worst thing ever.
I think like combat sites, they're incredibly dry because you just go and you select who you're fighting for. I think if they were a lot more dynamic, where if you're on top, you start seeing capital ships now spawning in because you're pushing them back.
There's a lot of things with conflict zones. Sorry to butt in. There's a lot of things like, for example, what Smiling Bobfish said, which was jumping into a conflict zone and seeing 3 corvettes. That is obviously dependent on if you're going against a Federation faction that maybe. I think it also takes into account the population of the system, the security of the system, and a lot of other jazz. But again, yeah, it is roll of the dice and all that jazz, which isn't really that great. But it'd be kind of really awesome if you could somehow force that to not if, for example, when we've had war against a Federation faction before, we've either had us versus a capital ship or our capital ship versus their capital ship. It would be kind of nice to force the capital ship out. Sorry.
And apparently the Wolf of Jonah have a large stock of combat T9s.
We just launched them all in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really awesome to watch.
We should try to trade them in suicide bombers. But, for example, another thing that I always found curious about the combat zone, the fact that you can go, and fight against, let's say, is a purple mob or whatever, and then you go to their station and land in there and repair and restock.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to do that.
No.
You should.
Example, I think it'd be nice, if you join a clan, if you join a faction, you could declare it not when you enter the combat zone, but before that, or permanently, or something like that.
Well, yeah, you could be like my what's it called? My loyalty lies to the Walls of Jonai, for example. And when you jump into a war zone, you can't pick any other faction. You can only pick the Walls of Jonai. Well, you can't pick any others, so you would automatically be on the Walls of Jonai side. So, that'd be kind of cool. But I don't think Frontier would do that, to be honest.
No.
Sorry, Dangervince.
Like I said,
what was Dangervince saying?
Yeah, I was going to say one possible solution is a conflict kicks off. You go into that system. The moment you go to join a conflict, you get given the option who do you want to fight for. But you've got to bear in mind, whoever you pick, that's who you're picking for the remainder of the conflict. Now, I think that would be a lot better, because then you could have systems where, you go to land at an outpost and they turn around and say, no, you're fighting for, our enemy, we're not letting you land. And you could even expand upon it, where you could have a situation where, you could defect mid-conflict. You could be fighting for Wolves of Jonai, for example, and then turn around and go, do you know what? I think I'll fight for Jonai and Stella. But in doing so, obviously Wolves of Jonai will hate you a lot more.
Yeah, your rep will tank.
A lot more. And not only that, it would take longer for Jonai and Stella to trust you. So you'd find a huge dent in the missions they'd offer you, but if you did kind of serve that double agent, so to speak, that role, would actually pay bigger dividends at the end of the conflict.
And you'd also end up probably making a name for yourself as that person that sides with, say, the Empire and then backstabs the Empire and goes with the Federation. You'd kind of make that name of yourself to where they're like, oh, this is that guy that always jumps ship when the other side is losing. Oh, I'm not going to trust them. Yeah.
They have something kind of like that with power play, don't they? I mean, in particular, where they send assassination squads after you.
Yeah, that's if you leave and then go with another faction. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what you'd be doing basically if you did that.
But if you actually saw the conflict through on the one side, it'd be nice if you were actually rewarded accordingly.
Yeah. It'd be nice to, how CGs work? You'll probably agree with this. CGs and tiers, tier top 10 commanders, for example, and then top 10 75%. Well, not top 10 75%. I meant 75%. You'd get that, and it would be you hand in maybe 60 million combat bonds somehow. You did it all night and all day. They'd be like, hey commander, you handed in more combat bonds than anybody else, here's an extra 10 million or something because they won I don't know. That'd be kind of interesting.
It would be.
Give people more of a kind of an incentive, or maybe even just a paint job, which many people would probably agree with. You know, you got given a gold paint job for a week or something from that faction because you helped them out so well. They've repaid you with a gold paint job or whatever, and then you have to do it again to keep it or something.
Or like a unique decal, like top 10%
Yeah.
commander or something like that.
Be nice if they did that with CGs. And do we have anything else to add? I wonder. we could talk about how would you like exploration to be changed? That'd be an interesting one. If at all, really.
I think having a lot more kind of interaction
Well,
would be good.
I am gonna say something. I think since 3.0 came out, the planets look nicer. So I'll
Yeah,
give
I
you
think-
that.
yeah.
It makes it more interesting,
Agreed.
more enjoyable to go in the planet. Especially like I think when you're like in slightly darker areas, it's just with lights on in the SRV. It looks pretty cool.
Do
to
you-
what it used to be.
Do you know what I'd like? An SRV, welcome back. An SRV that has no lights whatsoever. Yeah. And maybe it can travel faster, or maybe it could do something that the others can't do, a way to kind of balance it, to make it give you an actual reason to use it. Maybe it can go up sheerer cliffs or something.
Like more
A
power.
Ye-
rock crawler type
Yeah,
sort of thing.
it's got more fuel in it. Can go up higher degrees, angles of whatever. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. But because it doesn't have lights, what they'd have to do is make it so that the global illumination, or whatever the hell it's called, it's basically that makes the planets lighter. When it'd be actually really nice if the planets were like pitch black, to where you were traveling in a direction and then all of a sudden it goes pitch black and you're like, fuck, I can't see anything. I'll put my lights on. Spoilers, you're in an SLV with no lights. What do you do? Yeah. Kind of add a time element.
As to chat really quick, Smile and Blobfish, I do get that. I think a lot of the problem with a lot of players when it comes to exploration is that, for me anyway, I went out without any clear goal in mind, and I'd maybe get 5k out, and I'm just like, I don't want to look at another star. I just want to shoot shit. I
CQC?
don't want to anymore.
We'll be doing that tomorrow.
Well, when the CQC matchmaker works, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yes.
absolutely a good way to mitigate it. But at the same time, I
And
think that
multiplayer.
is a lot of the problem when it comes to exploration. Is that, at least for me, I brought this up on my stream while I was out earlier. Was that when you bring back your data, yeah, you get that nice, pretty screen of hey,
Ching.
first discovery of all this stuff, and you get paid for it, and that's nice. But you'd think that even though there'd be new discoveries being made all the time, when it comes to like discovering new things like new Earth-likes, new chances for terraformation and things like that, there'd be more additions. Like there'd be more of a hubbub about it.
Mm-hmm. I'd like.
Why couldn't you rename a planet Planet Bob or something like that?
Yeah.
God.
The ability to go, hey, what would you like to name this planet that's this far
Within
out?
reason.
You're the one that discovered it. You get to. Not just a simple nameplate and a tag saying, hey, you're the one that discovered this first, and that's cool, and people, whoever goes through there next will know that you've been there. But actually being able to make a physical difference in the universe, I think, is one of the things that I'd like to see made.
Do you know-
Not just planetary bases, but actually being able to go, well, I discovered it, this is my Earth-like, I'd like to name it.
What would be cool is to jump even further from naming it. Is it'd be nice to just be like, I want to say, for example, it's a terraformable Earth-like. You're like, oh well, I really think maybe they should try and stick, I don't know, something on it. They should try and terraform it, and you could actively maybe you or a select few of people could maybe actively take resources out there, and actively try and terraform it. But wouldn't we? I think we'd need like.
Again, more of an addition to that clan system
Yes.
you were on
Yeah.
about earlier. I think something like that for terraformable Earth-likes, especially, that would come down to atmospheric landing, which hopefully, I think Super, you hinted at a little bit of chatter from devs that we may be getting something akin to that later this year.
I think it will be probably like a year from now. To be honest, it kind of sounds like it.
And like I did bring this up in TS earlier, and yeah, Blobfish, yeah, I can't. You can't name them. That pisses me off. But I did bring this up earlier in that. Nope, shit, lost my train of thought. Never mind.
Well, rip.
And even like about the naming system, I don't think you should be able to name every single one. But maybe if you want to name a system, you have to pay a fine or something like to register. Or
Well,
something like that.
Yeah. You have to go like it's a bit like how Star Citizen's doing it actually.
Yeah, so you're not gonna be naming every single planet. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna be naming, okay, this was a significant planet because it was cool, or I like this specific. You know, you're not gonna be naming.
This is a
this
little
little
bring
moon and this little
Earth-like
moon.
or something like that, and I'm gonna go. I want to name that. I want to put my.
I want to call him Jeffrey.
which makes-
Like, yeah, there's also a lot of things why they wouldn't want to allow you to name something. Is because, you know, you'd obviously have the typical name, the typical penis name, planets and all that jazz.
Yeah, that would be something that they'd have to take into consideration because that's a lot more involved and permanent
Yep.
than ship names.
And also, how would they stop? How would they stop somebody naming it Bob, for example, and then somebody on the complete other side of the galaxy naming their star Bob? You know, there'd have to be like.
Completely confusing. I think that'd more come down to a database of systems that, sorry, that name's already taken, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But technically, you could say it's Planet Bob on this system, Planet Bob in that system. You wouldn't be. I don't think you should be able to rename necessarily the systems, but maybe the.
Agreed. Yeah, what they could always do is a bit like how Discord do their usernames, which is I think it's Discord and also Bethesda's. I don't know, it's not Bethesda, it's the other one that do Overwatch. Them guys. Basically, yeah. You can have any name. You can have any name under the sun. You could call yourself admin if you wanted, but you have hashtag and then whatever number after your name.
Yeah.
That is your like ID or global identifier. To where if you change your name, that is still, you can just find something by typing in that identifier. That'd be kind of a nice way to. So it'd be, instead of just Planet Bob with nothing else, it would be Planet Bob hashtag 2174. You know.
And bringing back, I actually did find that train of thought again. Fantastic.
Good.
I think the main reason for them not putting in atmospheric planets is that there's not a lot of ships that are built for atmosphere. Like
It's probably
I would
3.
take an
Yeah.
Anaconda to atmosphere. It wouldn't have a good
Well,
time for that. Yeah, absolutely hit the ground. But further to that is that you need to design flight characteristics in atmosphere and then have a bit of a sliding scale in different atmospheric pressures, different gravities, under different circumstances, wind conditions, things like that, that would actually make it feel like a sim.
Okay.
So that it's actually realistic.
If
So
you-
that's one of the main reasons I don't think they've got it in yet, because they'd have to build that.
If you got given the choice between Earth-likes, not Earth-likes, atmospheric planets, atmospheric landings, or gas giants, or maybe water worlds, all of them you could land on. Which one would you pick? I know which one I would pick, and I'd pick gas giants. For the pure reason of.
Why?
Well, the pure point of that they could do some crazy stuff, a bit like what Warframe does, to where they have like,
Cloud city sort of thing?
yeah, cities in the clouds, city in the gas giant, all of that
I
jazz.
sort of get that,
You
but
could do
at the
some
same time,
hidden
I'm
crap.
sitting there going,
Cool.
Water worlds, I've got an orca. It already half looks like a fucking submarine. There's dolphin there. There's fucking beluga.
Orca wouldn't work
Orca would work.
because it's not meant for water, the pressure of water. It's only meant for the pressure of space. Yeah.
Put an additional internal an additional internal mod that you'd actually have to put in if you wanted to land in water.
I agree.
Or,
I agree with Smiling Bodfish as well.
Or maybe
Yeah.
add like a SRV that's an actual submarine, like a mini sub.
Well, you wouldn't land on the gas giant. It'd be kind of like to the point where you just are flying through the clouds per se, to where
Flying through the upper atmosphere, and
yeah.
more as a matter of if there would be any sort of landing in regard to gas giants, they would actually have to have sort of cloud cities, but there would be an amount of atmospheric dynamics there. So
You also could have gas giant salvage as well.
Or not salvage, but an interesting way to collect
Gas
resources
scooping.
with a different type.
Like
Like
gas
gas
Yeah.
scooping.
harvesting.
That'd be cool.
Alright, so moving on from that, long term, and I know that we're sort of a little bit shooting ourselves in the foot with basically laying all our cards on the table for the very, very first podcast, but what would you guys actually like to see in terms of where the game could be in, say, 2 years?
Did you say 2 years?
Nice estimate. We'll start actually from the bottom because Super, you've taken a fair amount of questions, and Danger Vince has taken like one.
Yeah.
So we'll start from the
Agreed.
bottom and go from there. Danger Vince, where would you like to see the game at in say 2 years?
2 years' time, it would be nice to have space legs, but that ability to walk around your ship, it has to be coupled with something. And
There actually has to be a gameplay reason.
Yeah, I'm probably going to trigger Super here by saying it, but it'd be nice if it was a bit like Subnautica
Great.
with the Cyclops. So, you know, if you ever played Subnautica and you get the Cyclops, things can go wrong, fires can break out, you have to go outside and do a spot hull repair, etc.
That'd be cool.
It'd be nice to, you know, be in my Anaconda or Corvette and instead of shutting down, doing a reboot, I've got the option of actually, like, finding somewhere safe, landing on a planet, and then actually going and physically repairing what's wrong.
Yeah, that'd be really cool, actually.
You've got 30 minutes of oxygen because
Yep.
you've actually got a good reason to have good life support that's tied into your suit, say, to actually go out and go, okay, I need to EVA, land on a planet, use a jetpack or a thruster pack or whatever, and actually physically land on a planet, get out of my ship as a person, then climb up onto the hull, patch my fucking windscreen because I flew into a star too many times, whoops, and then get on with my way. That sort of thing would be absolutely brilliant. But again, I think gameplay reasons further to that would be if they're going to add space legs, they shouldn't make it tied to just your ship. And I know that this is a big ask, and I know that that's something that wouldn't go through quickly, and it would have to be something that they'd start with just your ship, and then they'd iterate it out to communal areas, hab rings, things like that, that would actually give you a decent go out and use the system, which is much like the problems that Eve had, and I know we keep coming back to Eve, but honestly, in terms of the scale of the game, it is the closest that we've got. And I'll get to you in just a second, Blobfish. When EVE Online first added their carbon system, which was their player creator that was a lot more involved, there's a lot of customization that can be done. There are limits, of course, but again, can actually properly customize a decent looking character. A lot of the problems that were involved there was that you got one room. You got one room in a station, and then they added in, the $500 monocle, which was a legitimate thing, and I was around for that, and it was stupid, and the uproar and the subsequent riot around Jitter was a thing that made sense. And yes, scuba gear, they have better life support, but I personally put it down to you've got 15 minutes of a tank I put that down to a gameplay thing, but
Agreed.
yeah, Brody, where do you want to see the game in 24 plus months?
24 plus months.
2 years.
Yeah, I know. I actually would like to have different variety of planets, like atmospheric or water orb or something in that nature, like we're talking about.
Yep.
Like I said, I like exploration. I like going into the planets. It's just sometimes if you're like going at the same rocky moon or the same whatever, it just kind of gets boring. So like more variety in that sense.
Which I do think they did add with
They
3.0
did.
because they've made planetary generation actually take into account the different metal contents of the planet.
And the colors and stuff.
They are definitely better.
No,
But yeah, I do
and like
agree.
I said, and I did mention that I have been enjoying that lately. But like, it'd be interesting to have the challenge of planning, an atmospheric flight where you can really mess up your ship. You come in too steeply, you're gonna burn your ship or something like that. You know, kind of like, okay, you can do it, but it's not gonna be just, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, like well, if you look at ships currently, or not rather not ships currently, space technology currently, you need to have some sort of ablative, which could be down to your shield, but shields typically have a low thermal resistance. Well, that could play a part, and you could lose shields, and then all of a sudden, you're taking straight heat damage to the dick.
Yeah, like
that's
maybe
gonna start
like
burning up your ship. Start getting scorch marks. You can start popping canopies if you're in a ship that has, such as the Clipper or Cutter, with a very
or the asp.
forward-mounted canopy, and weight is also a factor and things like that. So yeah. So Blobfish is gone. New ships, absolutely. Surface bases. We already do have surface bases, but yeah, I do agree that there should be a little more player involvement. And
see,
SRBs that are designed to go on lava worlds. Hey, that's one.
Ooh.
What do you think about that? Like lava worlds and things like that to
Star Wars.
crawl around in a volcano, or even further, something that straight out of real life. A Chinese team, probably around 6 months ago, found through scans that the moon had dormant lava tubes that are kilometers deep and probably around 750 meters wide that we're looking at using for colonization. What do you think of that as an added planetary feature?
That'd be awesome.
Be interesting if you could actually find it. Yeah.
I think that's the important part. We don't have the. When it comes to exploration, you've got your advanced scanner, right? So you jump into the system, you honk, you get all the data, anything interesting, you actually fly up, and with the surface scanning, you get a little bit more money, and that's it. So if you think about it, every moon out there could potentially have like an alien ruin or something that we've never discovered before, because Frontier have hinted we've not discovered everything. They've not given us the tools to do so.
I did see that, like, something like 2 weeks ago, we got a set of stats that went through and said, look, you've only seen 0.026 of the entire galaxy, which, while is a ridiculous amount of stars in and of itself, there's 4 billion stars, and we've only examined, 50 million of them, which is fuck all, like something even smaller, which is fuck all.
Probably 20. Yep.
What percent? It was like a ridiculous low percent, though. I remember.
Yeah, it was a stupidly low number. But if we, I think I know what you're getting at, Danger Vince. If you actually went up to a planet and scanned and
fired a probe,
it said, "Hey, anomaly detected," and pointed you to not an exact location, but a general location of, okay, so anomaly detected, like they do for surface scan missions. Yeah, like they've already got that system in its infancy in place. So if they were to put something like that in and say, like, okay, well, anomaly detected, natural, anomaly detected, artificial, and then you get one step closer, anomaly detected, geological, or
anomaly detected, unknown.
Yeah,
unknown,
or signal.
Alien, those sort of things that you could get closer, and as you step closer and closer to whatever you're trying to scan down, you get, hey, anomaly detected, alien ruin, anomaly detected, volcano, those sort of things that you can then scan and mark and get data for, because they are geological locations, and there shouldn't really, in my mind, be much of an upper limit to how many anomalies could actually be discovered. And that would breathe a lot of new life into the game.
Yeah, like for example, you know how sometimes you like pop into a system and you get like mission critical message or something like that. Maybe like when you scan a planet where there's something on it, you'll get a mission. It's like, oh, we detected this anomaly over here. Like, do you want to accept this mission and either put it as a mission that you can take for whatever, or so you have markers and stuff like that, or something like that.
As to that, Rhodey, that should be linked straight back into clans.
What would we really?
It shouldn't be linked into the BGS so much, but it should be directly linked into, hey, say, for us, we're Wolves of Jonai, we do missions for the Wolves of Jonai, out of Jonai.
But no, but
nice and simple. But if, like, this is my own personal opinion, so disagree or whatever, Brody, sorry. But if I was to jump into a system now, and I found a pretty looking atmosphereless lava world, say, just for an absolute instance.
Okay.
And I scan it, and the system comes up with, hey, reviewing your data, we've come up with this anomaly. Here's a mission for X amount of credits, go scan it. Just to add a little bit more randomness into
I'm not necessarily.
that and make exploration a little more rewarding. Go ahead, Roddy,
And
sorry.
I'm not necessarily saying like for credits or stuff like that, because that would be an perfect example to have like more reputation or something like that, maybe because
How about-
you discover something. But like I mean, and I was gonna say something else that I'd like to see later, but I mean, when it comes to exploration, like you said, you find an anomaly that could be, let's say, ruins or something like that. I mean, that should be something that whatever you turn in that mission, then you have like extra reputation or whatever because you discover something important.
What I'm thinking is, how about, being that you're storing all of this information on your ship, how about when you make your way back to a station, you sell off your data. So say, for example, you make your way back to Jonai, and they're like, you sell all your data, and then they say what basically you just said, Jathaal, which is you're reviewing all of your data. It seems like you found something very interesting in system blah. And then they say, well,
Wherever that
Commander,
happens to be.
yeah, well, Commander, you can go back there if you want, and we'll give you
And that could
X
be
amount of stuff.
how far out you are.
Yeah.
That could be anywhere between
That could be 28,000 light years.
65,000 light
Yeah.
years away, and it's just, hey, you scanned that thing at Beagle Point. Awesome. You
Go
got
back
your
there.
name on stuff. All right, go back to Beagle Point. There's stuff there. We want to know what it's about. So,
And then if you say no,
absolutely, I think
and then if you'd say no, they could say, well, are you okay with us maybe passing it on to somebody else? You know, and then they pass it on to somebody else who's maybe allied or is really like well known to say the Walls of Jonai is a faction.
again, I think that should tie into the clan system.
Yeah, that would be clan system. It wouldn't be just based on, oh, you're allied with us, here you go. That would be, oh, you're high up in the Explorer division of the Walls of Jonai. Here you go. Here's a
That happens.
thing.
Like you've
Yeah.
attained an explorer rank of commander in specifically the Wolves of Jonah because you've handed in X amount of exploration data to us. So if
Yep.
actually that touches on another point entirely that is completely removed from that, but awesome. All right, so bringing it back around to the very top,
If-
Levi, what do you want to see?
Do you
next
mind if
4
I
months, Matt?
say one thing before Levi though? That something else that
Yeah,
I
go
wanted
ahead,
to
Matt.
see. One other thing that I thought they were gonna do this, but especially when they brought search and rescue. But it'd be interesting if the missions, like especially search and rescue missions or some of the ones where you find artifacts or stuff like that, they would have. I mean, for some people that might not matter, but they would have a little more of a story to it that might make it more rewarding than just the credits and the reputation. And for some people, this might not matter at all.
Mhm.
But for some people, let's say you find escape pod somewhere, right? And then you get a mission and it goes, okay, you need to return this guy to his home planet or whatever. Whether you want to do it or not.
Yeah, or they do something like that. That'd be cool.
And then, like, when you get there, it's like, oh, you know, like, thank you for saving my life and bringing me back home. I discovered this. So it's kind of like a series of follow-on missions that you can do that it would be like a little story. And it doesn't have to be overly complicated, but it might be more rewarding than just, oh, I have to go here, and then I have to go there, and I have to go that. Like, I mean, just, you know, another cargo mission.
Yeah,
Yep.
Like,
I
for
think
example-
that having further additions to the chaining mission system, which I was glad that they added that in, so it
Yeah.
added a little more, again,
Depth.
personal story to
But-
what you're doing. I was glad they added it in, but adding more variety to those, so not
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
donated 1,000,000 credits for your Fed rank, say you're doing your Fed grind, because of course you are.
Yep.
And you know, all right, well we've got this data or we've got this cargo. Actually have something more involved in the universe in there. Just bringing it to chat really quick. What if we had our personal ranks and then a clan rank system? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
I would
idea,
agree.
Blobfish.
Yeah.
That's really what we were trying to hammer home is that if you are going to have and a leaderboard, of course. If you're going to have a rank system, you should honestly be able to have, you know, in your rank, you've done this for us and brought that back. So yeah, that's absolutely something.
What
that
they need
would be
is
beneficial.
a clan hierarchy. Like, I can't like say that more than any. I will ban you. Get it, I'll ban you.
What?
like what I can't say like more than anything is like be really great if they had, you know, clan anarchy and all that stuff. You know,
Poking you.
it's Getty being a dumb fuck. You know, there you go, minus 30 decibels. Have a good day. Like it'd just be like really great if there was, you know, a clan hierarchy and all that jazz.
Alright, so like,
And I'm literally just gonna ban Getty right now.
back into sort of the same, the things that we've been talking about, the things that, in all honesty, I think that they should take inspiration from as they're developing this as a system, is things like Warframe and Eve.
Yeah.
To honestly,
Hey,
as
wake
far
up.
as I'm concerned, while not flawless, damn good examples of how a clan system should run. So, if you're, say for instance, you've got Chaos, the elusive, quote-unquote elusive alpha, who's the most famous of the lot of us. And you can't shit on that. He does actually have a YouTube, so, you know,
Yep.
he has people that give a shit about what he says, for reasons. But he would be the CEO in that situation of the Wolves of Jonah. Then you'd have XO, which would be Super, and then sub-commanders, which would be like me, Getty, Ash, those sort of people. And then you'd go down the ranks and, you know, there'd be probably a limit of up to, say, 15 different ranks that you could give. But further to that, having a leaderboard for exploration data handed in, yes. Combat ranks handed in, yes. Combat bonds, yeah. Trade missions, amount of trade done to stations that you own, to aid the clan or the corp or whatever you want to call it, abso-fucking-lutely. Those are the sort of things that, if they want to develop a personal story around this, they should. They really should.
And then when I fly into the den, I get a better parking spot.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, those sort of things. And that, then it does also open up, and we've discussed a lot of this at length in TeamSpeak, but I think this is a good spot to solidify a lot of those different points, is that if we're going to have this sort of clan hierarchy, and then clan leaderboards that could, honestly, if you wanted to, move up that clan hierarchy with how much you contribute, it is possible. But what you should be able to do as a result of that is when/if whatever ends up happening with Space Legs, could earn your rank and be a higher rank and get a nicer house, or
Yeah,
get
that'd be nice.
access to better personal weapons that your clan might produce, or whatever ends up happening with that. Those sort of things would be absolutely fantastic.
So one question about the clan system. I'm sorry, I keep
Wow.
letting Levi here.
Wow.
Is what would happen with power play then? Should we get rid of it? Should that clan replace power play?
Power play's pointless.
Yeah, no, power play, in my opinion, could
Is the
completely
modules.
get replaced by clan system. Like,
Yeah, because let's be
the
completely
superpower
honest.
thing, it's cool and all, and initial implementation made it look really interesting, and I was around when it first came out. But at the same time, the actual physical execution, I can see what you're doing there, Levi. Fucking
Professional.
the actual physical execution of how power play ended up working. Nah,
It's
it was
people
shit.
do it for the modules.
Yeah, that's all. And if we're gonna add in things like research and development, why can't we research things like prismatic shields?
Yeah.
The Imperial hammers, if you want them. The Wullfpack hound, the pack hounds.
A lot
Honestly,
of
if
people
we-
wouldn't
if
like
we
that
did
though.
get that, you should be able to research them.
Like a lot of people wouldn't like that.
A research system. Hey?
A lot of people wouldn't like that completely, just because there's a lot of people that do power play. I know that might sound stupid, but
Yeah.
a lot of people love
I
power
know
play.
there are- I know there are a lot of people who do power play, but at the same time, I sit there and go,
Why?
it's such a grindy, pain in the ass system to get access to modules that it's sort of, it detracts from the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Alright, so chat.
Wow.
To be honest, most multiplayer aspect of the game is trade wing missions. Other than that, game's a single player game. Honestly, This game is as multiplayer as you want to make it. That, again, my personal opinion, take it with a grain of salt, all of that. The game is as multiplayer as you want to make it, by which I mean, if you want to, say, go around piss about on a planet, do salvage with a buddy. I did that early game. I bought a copy of the game
Microphone
for
muted.
a
Microphone
mate of mine
activated.
and I to go and piss around in the Pleiades and mine meta alloys and just generally dick around and drive. Hell, you, Super, myself, Rhodey, S-Wolf, like, we have lists of people who we've just flown down onto a planet just to fuck around.
Yep.
Just for shits and giggles.
Like, for example, one time me and like a couple other people went, let's say, code mining because we didn't mine anything. I ended up just like playing bumper cars with an Anaconda T9 and a cutter. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And
Like,
yeah, it is.
and what I was gonna say, sorry. And one
go
thing that I had to say about 3.0, I think the way that they did this engineering things were like, it's not necessarily impossible to get a god roll like it used to be. You know, when they first implemented engineer, where some people, for example, I had a 2A power plant that was producing like almost 14.5 megawatts, right? Which shouldn't have happened. But you have people that would spend hundreds and hundreds of times just like getting a god roll, and then they would become gankers. And before engineers, I would play an open all the time. If somebody want to fight me, I would fight. I would feel that I was comfortable enough, you know, to fight certain ships. You know, like if I was in a Cobra and somebody in a Cobra or a Viper or certain other ships came fighting me, you know, I felt it was even fair fight, and it was a lot to pilot skill, and sometimes, you know, like how you have your ship set up. But if you have two further lances with the same setup, you know, like it was up to the pilot
It's
skill,
down to
right?
pilot skill at
With
that point.
engineering, like how it was first implemented, it changed that. Where like you could have somebody that has a god roll, and he would gank my ship because he was set up for PvE and not PvP.
Alright, so
And I think with
Let me ask you
engineers
this
that
one,
balance, I
Murdy.
think with engineers, the way they do it now, it might be a little grindy, but it kind of balances where like if I want to go into open now, I feel maybe more comfortable than I did when 2.1 came out.
okay, so that basically answers my question. All I was going to ask you was, given now that it isn't possible to make a god-rolled ship, would you be comfortable going out in the open? And you just answered that yourself.
Yeah, no.
As to that, why, from an outsider's perspective, why do you guys think that FDev implemented the RNG rolls the way they did? Super, go ahead. Why do you think they implemented it as an RNG system as opposed to a percentage rank up system like they have now?
Grind wall. Longevity.
I'd agree.
Yeah?
That's the easiest way to describe it. Longevity and a grind wall.
That sounds about right.
It's to, add a timer or give them more time or deteriorate from something else. That's
So that's a
all
matter
it would
of
be.
player retention due to the fact
Yep.
of I have to get that god roll, I have to get that perfect FSD and get that 65 LY or whatever the fuck it was jump range on my Conda.
It's like with the FSD. The old FSDs with the polonium and all that stuff. Yes, it was challenging. Yes, it was cool. All that jazz. But yeah, it took its time. Like, it would take you probably like 3 weeks to maybe get enough polonium, depending on your luck.
Yeah,
I don't know.
down to, again,
And how many
straight
goats
up
you kill?
luck.
Like, how much sacrificial goat you? Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just wasn't exactly great.
It was artificial kind of game extension when pretty much they could have added either a little bit of content here and there just to keep us playing a bit longer, or hinted at certain things a little bit earlier, or even just turn around and let the players drive the kind of the game story. But I honestly don't think I think that if they ever are a bit frightened of that. I think they've got a plot, I think they've got a story hidden away somewhere where they go, right, well, yeah, the Thargoids, this is their motivation, the Guardians, that was their motivation, or maybe they'll turn back up at some stage. But on top of all this, I honestly think they want to keep a hold of that core of the story of Elite Dangerous, rather than turn it around to us and say, right, here's the game, let it develop like EVE Online did.
Yeah.
And you make your own storylines, powers
Alright.
rise and fall. accordingly.
The problem I have with that is that Eve look, for context, I've played Eve since 2008. I have a 100 mil SP character. I've done a whole bunch of shit all around the galaxy doing all the stuffs. But Eve had all the systems in place for community.
Yep.
Which, if you're trying to build that sort of system where you let it develop naturally and you just add bits and pieces to change meta or increase the amount of gameplay that you can get out of it, a la Titans and Tech 3s, wormholes, towers, all of the things that EVE Online did right. I personally think that FDev shot themselves in the foot if they were trying to do that, because they don't have those systems in play.
I mean, that's the thing. Anyone that's played EVE or even just done a bit of research knows about the huge alliances going to war with each other. You know, the winners, the losers, what happened to them. That's part of EVE Online now.
Yeah.
You know, the Goon Squads, Pandaren Legion. Is it Pandemic Legion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goons, which
Bob.
it goes even further than that, because in those sort of situations, Eve is very Machiavellian in that you could screw over everyone.
Yeah.
And because Elite doesn't have communal trade areas where, you know, I've got my Corvette, my cutter, my chieftain and all of that, I don't have them currently stored in a communal hangar where any cunt with enough cargo space could just go, I'm just gonna grab this one and this one and this one and buy, and then fuck off to the other end of the galaxy. That doesn't exist in Elite. So you don't have, not only do you not have fucking proper communities, like built named communities where you're part of a faction and that is on your character sheet and you've got that there, you don't have the possibility of the player-driven narrative.
Yeah.
In that, yeah, I can go
I don't
out
think Frontier wants it.
I don't think that's a negative thing, though, necessarily.
It isn't a negative thing, but at the same time,
It is and
it's
isn't.
actually a positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
in that, hey?
What I was going to, sorry to interrupt, but what I was going to say is, there's groups in EVE Online you wouldn't dream of crossing, unless, you know, you just want to do it for shits and giggles.
You know, there's PL who, if you wanted to screw with them, you hot drop them with, you counter hot drop them with more ships. That's what it comes down to, is a numbers game, and people have done it and people have screwed them. And during the after action report, considering I was part of an alliance that was allied to PL at one point, much as I'm not exactly proud of that fact, that the simple fact was that the after action, you're sitting there and the PL guys left TeamSpeak and you're sitting there going, dude got fucked, and you laugh at it. But at the same time, you don't have that sort of community in Elite because there isn't actual communities.
No.
There's not even a name, really.
No, that's what
Name
it
one
comes down
group
to.
in Elite that you wouldn't dream of crossing. And I'm not, right, Smiling Dogs crew, I'm not including them because these guys, they do their own thing. You can just quite literally go, well, I'm just not going to play an open, and you never have to worry about them. Or you could just, you know, put them on your block list, and yet again, you don't have to worry about them. There's not one single group out there that you say to yourself, I really don't want to get on the wrong side of.
Because it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter because you can just turn and go, I'll go off and
I'll go on
private
solo
group
and
or
I'll
solo.
undermine their system.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Like, oh, they have a faction.
You wave on them into nothing. Oh, you guys have a black market at one of your systems? Oh, aren't you so very fucked? Because I'm gonna piss off over this way, pick up 27 tons of UAs, and then go sell them at your black market, and bye-bye station for you, have fun.
And since you're doing it solo, there's no way they can defend it.
Yeah, same with the whole killing security ships and all that jazz. You know, you could, I'm just going to kill security ships and stick you into lockdown.
That's what comes down to a lack of single shard universe, which Eve has, Elite doesn't. Like, I can't go into a different instance in Eve. If I'm in my Vindicator and I'm built out and I've got shitloads of money and all of that crap, and I'm a dumbass because I'm drunk one night and I go out into low sec or null sec in my Vindicator alone and I get ganked, well, suck shit.
Yep,
I did that because I made the choice to do that. What it comes down to. Alright. Topics.
Hang on, I'll
Crap.
be right back. I just go and
And
grab some lunch.
Wow.
You're alright, mate.
And to be honest with you, like, I'm gonna be honest, when I was playing more in open, I think I enjoyed the game a lot more. Because, like, I mean, I would be trading anti-saves without arms, and it was, like, more exciting when I would go to certain systems and knowing that people that might be looking for traders in Type 6 with SCG or something like that.
Yep.
But, then engineers came, and it just became unfair, where, like, some people just... even if I was in an arm Fertilance, you wouldn't stand a chance against them.
Yeah, and they wouldn't even ask. Well, and then in most cases, it's like they don't even ask for cargo, and it's like obviously
It's
a
just
point
gank.
that they just
Well,
want to gank.
Let's talk about this last CG, like where we have people that came into our private group,
Yeah.
which we specifically have a no PvP type rule, and they would kill. Like, I mean, the only time I got interdicted was when I was in a trade anaconda with no cargo.
Yeah, and you wouldn't get interdicted when you were in like for example, when we were in a wing of corvettes and we actually fucking chased them out to the point where one of the guys did combat log. It's like, it's like you're only here to kill harmless people, basically. So how is that entertaining in any way, shape, or form?
You're here to be a coward, but there are people that do get their kicks out of that. So, one question from Legetti Gamer: would recommend, and thoughts on how they're implementing Thargoids? Ooh, these guys. What do you think of how they're doing Thargoid implementation?
They're not real. They don't exist. I'm kidding.
I've seen them. They suck.
Thargoids aren't real. Well, Thargoids, they're interesting.
Just like the Earth is flat.
There's a lot of things that they'd need to do. Like, I don't know. It's the way they've been implemented, I would say, is wrong.
Because, like, alright, Thargoids from Elite and Elite 2, they were... You'd see him and go, oh fuck. And yeah, if you get hyperdicted, and I have now been hyperdicted, I'm not a hyperdiction virgin anymore,
Well,
they are fear-inducing. You shit your pants. That's a legitimate thing.
as long as it's not the scripted one.
Yeah, I know. But at the same time, like, them attacking stations. Like that's cool and all, but okay.
Are you guys motivated to go and get into the Thargoid story plot
No.
other than to make money in SCG goal? I mean, that's the only motivation there. I was like, oh, that's a good way to make money, and I think that's wrong. I mean, it doesn't make you
Impelled?
Do I want to take side on this? I mean, do I want to, maybe help the Thargoids and have them become an overlord, or do I want to, just fight them?
Well,
there's no motivation to do anything
yeah.
like that.
In most of the cases, it's like, oh, Thargoids, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is what it comes down to. Is like most of the motivation behind Elite Dangerous is straight up money. Because it's, I'm gonna say it's a matter of scarcity. That's just my hot take on it. Really, but given that money is a bit of effort to come down to, Yeti, I will get to it in a second.
And I think the
comes down to it,
story.
if you can make money doing it, then people are going to do it, a la gold rushes and all of that. When they get to the bubble, we'll all start flapping, oh, Privy, save me, please.
But they won't touch Privy.
No, we don't have an AX lab. At the moment, the pattern is, if it has an anti-Xeno lab, then they will actually go for that. And honestly, while the return was cool, and having hyperdictions be an actual thing, and there being an amount of Thargoid involvement there, it's still, like, disconnected.
I
That's
say
one of the big...
how they should have done it is how that one author said they should have done it. I forgot his name. He basically said that they should have got a select few commanders who were trusted in the community and trusted as a person, and they should have said, okay, what we want you to do is start hyperdicting players, and then they would go out in their Thargoid ships and start hyperdicting players, doing nothing, maybe just shooting them once or twice, and then start ramping it up more and more, getting more and more people in the community who are trusted to do it, and basically do that. And then also, obviously, have AI.
Community involvement in that, I would say actually have some devs, Yeah. The problem is
play
that,
the
again,
game.
it's because it's not a single shard universe, I'm sitting there going, well, maybe have devs do it, but no, it's not a single shard universe. You can't just specifically go, okay, so for absolute instance sake, a trusted member of the community is Vindicator Jones. He's someone that a lot of people, if you are in the
Microphone muted.
if you are in the Elite Dangerous community, chances are that you've seen probably one or two of his videos, if not more. And you first grab him, and chances are he'd film it. Like, chances are he's probably got his gear going constantly and gets filmed getting hyperdicted. Okay, well, that's the first encounter. And then Obsidian Air gets grabbed, and Chaos gets grabbed, and Yamix gets grabbed, and they actually let it be known that, hey, hyperdictions are starting, and then have it scripted so that a few more players get grabbed, and a few more, and a few more, and they're just basically poking and prodding until they understand us. And then go, okay, from the data that we've pulled from your records, we know that most of human inhabited space is there. Let's go smash it, and then just basically try and steamroll through, and you've got to sit there and panic blast your way through. Not specifically targeting AX labs, because, yeah, it's anti-Xeno, they know to us they're Xeno. Yeah, like Getty said. Yeah, OMG, they want to kill the YouTubers, but yeah, if they got bored of AX labs, and reverted back to their old self, and just start blasting through the place, I personally think that it should have been no slow warning, no little bits and pieces that involved just one guy getting hyperdicted and then getting scanned. It should have been a little bit of scanning, intel gathering, and accidentally an armada heading up through the Pleiades and just steamrolling slowly, methodically through human inhabited space until we could stop them.
Kind of like Mass Effect and the Reapers.
Yep, absolutely. That's what it realistically should have been implemented as. It shouldn't have just been, this station's been attacked. Well, they're not near me, I don't give a fuck. You should have actually actively lit a fire under people's asses so that...
Like, oh, we're fucked.
Yeah, it should have been, all of a sudden, here is a war. To the point where, in my opinion, if FDev had done it like that, there would have been the opportunity to have an active go into open, and if you're in a system that there's a Thargoid incursion going on and it's active, which means that you might show up at a station and there's 50 Thargoids all there, and there's commanders there fighting them and all of that sort of thing at the front, for instance. That if you were in open and that was the situation going on, if FDev and Elite had the infrastructure to handle that many commanders and that many ships on field, blah blah blah, all of that, then you would have been able to have a community actively going out and fighting a war.
Like that would be actually...
At the same time, I don't know what that reminded me of, this like ganker screaming where they were guiding the Thargoid search station. But I mean, my point is... yeah, I mean, I agree with you. If it was something that feels urgent, I mean, which it doesn't right now, I might be interested. It's like, okay, there's a reason I might want to suit up an ASP or a dropship or whatever I have and go fight it over there. But I have no motivation.
What's the reason? Yeah, like even then, like what's the reason? It's like, who cares? It's a station.
Like, I don't think that's worth my time to go for that money.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, is because as a player you've been taught that if you're to have motivation, it's financial. That's your motivation. Isn't, hey, I want to go and fight this because otherwise humanity's fucked.
Oh, and then I could talk about the other thing.
And he goes back to the lack of story, like whether it's story in missions, story in the game. And I do realize that, like, us players in Elite, we're not gonna be like the superhero that's gonna change everything. We're kind of like a speck dust in a universe of
that's okay.
Many people,
the thing
and that's
is
fine with me. But like, I mean, there's no story that is motivating or interesting. I mean, I'm not gonna go reading
Compelling.
Talmud to learn the lore or whatever. You know,
I would say I do somewhat agree with you, Roddy, but I've played a game fairly recently that has even less story motivation as a tying thread to in comparison to Elite Dangerous, and that's Black Desert Online. I picked that up maybe probably 2 months ago. Played it for about 6 hours and went, yeah, the gameplay's fun, it looks pretty, it's all cool, but there's no real reason for me to play. There's no real reason for me to give a fuck. That basically killed the game for me because there was there wasn't even player progression that I cared about.
yeah, I'm not getting me wrong. I mean, I played this game more than any other games. I'm here quite a bit, you guys can see. So I don't have a problem with the fact that I'm a spec, I'm a nobody commander. I don't care about that. That doesn't bother me. It's just that, like, I would like a little more lore. It would be, you know, something outside of PowerCode that would be more interesting, maybe with the Thargoid storyline or something that, you know, would be maybe more obvious. Like, maybe you go into a station, you know, like how they have, like, the announcement loitering is punishable by death. Maybe there's, like, a warning commanders or Thargoids in this sector. Something like that. That makes it
There's
more
been,
like...
at the
it's
very
important.
least,
Does that
some
make
sort of
sense?
mention of it saying, hey, there's actively Thargoids in this sector of space. Maybe it's within, say, 10 light years. There's been, you know, sightings of Thargoids in this space.
Or
You
there's
wanna
this
not
system
around.
next door is being attacked by Thargoids. All available commanders, please go to help in defending the
Yeah,
station.
like
or something like
a
that.
full call to arms. You need to, you know, stop this shit from happening. Yeah, no, basically that. Like, it's what it comes down to. And Getty did bring up a bit of a point. I'm not sure if I 100% agree with it, but I'll bring it up.
Yeah, I'm not asking.
IMO,
Sorry,
I
before...
think they want to stop us developing our tech, i.e. Guardian tech and AX tech, because they have PTSD from the last time they messed with us before opening up with more material-intensive things, such as massive Armada-style attacks, which I would see that as plausible, but given that a lot of the players of this game actually haven't played many of the prior Elite installments, and I'm not saying that is absolutely the case, but given the age of the prior games, I'd say that it's a bit of a miscalculation to do something like that. You want to grab people. Like, if you want to actually implement aliens and have been hinting at them and sort of, you know, whispering about them for the last 2 years, and then they drop, you want it to be in a big way.
Why can't we just...
Especially if... Hey?
Why can't they just look at the Expanse? You know, it's...
They'll need to fucking watch
in the
that.
background.
Well, yeah, as many...
Always there.
Yeah, as to people that haven't watched the Expanse, like, it's not really spoilers, but, like, how they fucking make you engrossed. That's a great word. Engrossed in the story of the, you know, of the show, and of how, you know, in general, you just want to watch the next one, the next one, the next one. They should do that with Elite, like how they slow burn it up to the point where you're like, holy shit, that actually is a thing. What the hell, you know? I know it's completely different genre and completely different, like, medium.
Medium as well.
You've got a show and a game, but in general, they kind of the same.
I'll point it back to Mass Effect again. And
Yep.
But I'm not asking, like, I mean, like I said, I'm not even asking for, like, a deep story with, like, plot and twists and, you know, like, a super complex ending. Even, like, I mean, I'm asking for a story, period. Something that I can grab onto, even if it's somewhat shallow. Like I said, if you fly to an area where there's Thargoids nearby, maybe you should be getting, whether it's I don't know about an email, but, like, why not on the station, like one announcement where it says, you know, Thargoids are attacking a nearby station. You know, all commanders that can help go to Arch, check the local mission board for,
Yep.
you know, available missions, or something like that.
Yeah. Like, basically, add it...
Simple.
No, one good way for them to implement it so that it's at least a little more involved, implement it as a state.
Yeah.
Like, we've already got states where you've got boom, famine, disease, whatever fucking state there is, war, for instance, add it as a state, because guess what? The station announcers already have that shit. They have, hey, there's a civil war going on in this system, you better be careful. They've got all of those sort of basis dialogues. If they added that even as a really basic thing, you'd give a bit more of a shit.
I think the biggest problem with they've got is risk reward.
Mhm.
There's two things: risk reward, and going back to the storyline. I don't feel motivated to fight for anyone. I spent 10 years playing World of Warcraft, and they've got characters and factions, and right now you ask someone that's following World of Warcraft, the vast majority of the player base wants to kill Jaina Proudmoore, which been in the game since I think Warcraft 3. It might have been some of the earlier ones, but she was definitely Warcraft 3 before WoW. But the reason why people want to kill her is because of developments in the plot, because of what that character has done, what she now stands for. But we don't have that.
And that's what it comes down to
Oh,
when it comes to Elite, is that even in their earlier installments, there was player progression in a tech tree, or basically a tech line, so to speak. There wasn't player progression in bot. Getty, I don't quite get what you mean with that's a CG, but
I know what he means.
I
He's basically saying, the stories are a CG, which is the wrong way of their doing it.
it is the wrong way of implementing story, like locking that behind effectively a grind wall.
What
It's hugely bad. Sorry, Super.
what Bobfish said before, which is basically talking what you were saying. This was his comment before, and it was he's basically ignored Thargoids because they're dangerous and the payouts aren't really worth it. Again, it's risk and reward. And another really crappy thing is that we've all kind of been corrupted, to use the best word, corrupted or steered in the wrong direction of all the exploits, because of all of the exploits and of the missions that are paying stupid amounts of money. So say for example, go kill 15 skimmers for 17 million. Spoilers, when you go kill a Thargoid, you don't get paid 17 million. Not even 17 of them would give you 17 million.
You might lose your ship.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the problem.
If I'm going out and killing an active Xeno threat, something that is actually
Scary.
a legitimate threat to me, which Thargoids are, like they are a lot more dangerous than any basic ass bitch ship that I've encountered, and they scare the fuck out of me. I'm not gonna lie. I see a Thargoid even when I'm down on the ground. I sit there and go, nope, I don't want to deal with this. I log, and I'm not even ashamed to say it. I fucking log because A, they're an inconvenience because of the EMP, and B, they scare the fuck out of me, and I don't want it. But the simple fact is, if I'm going out to fight an active alien threat that could destroy me with a fair amount of ease, if I'm not fucking flying right, then if I kill that, I want to be compensated.
Mm-hmm.
I actually want them to go, yeah, you killed that. You and fucking 8 other commanders, or 7, or whatever the hell, you guys went out and killed that Medusa. You were basically half of a full raid party. You went out and killed it. Fucking good job. Here's a fair amount of money. Here's 50 mil each.
Or
there you go.
even something that would be cool. Sorry, Vince. Why not? Like those decals, how they have like in World War II the planes when they kill Japanese planes, they have like like a little Thargoid. Like you can add like a decal. It's like, oh, I killed 5 Thargoids. I killed 10 Thargoids. Whatever.
All right. So like if you've got something they added in, I think it was later towards the end of World War II, was
like an A status, or like a Thargoid Ace or something like that,
Yeah, but when they had fighters, bombers, like they basically have like a side profile or a top profile of the class of aircraft that they were killing.
Yep.
And then so you'd have fighters, bombers, and say, or just for that example, fighters and bombers. For Thargoids, it'd be alright. Cyclops is killed, number. Medusa's killed, number, probably very small. Interceptor's killed, number, and you'd basically have that as a kill list.
You could also have a leaderboard.
Yeah.
Wait, we have a leaderboard?
No, you could have a leaderboard to the point where,
That'd be awesome.
Fucking oath.
yeah, like imagine that.
Make it a competitive thing.
some guy who's at the top of the leaderboard who's killed 15 Medusas by himself solo. He's either a hacker or he's really good at the game. It's one or the other.
Yeah,
But
you've got no middle ground there. It's either lead hacks or you are god tier. But that's what it comes down to, is that if you want to add even like little flavor things, they don't have to be, you know,
Financial.
this massive. They actually no. To put it in a little better terms, they don't have to be a feature-length movie that's perfectly written, Oscar award. No, I'm talking, you know, little bits of announcements, little bits of dialogue that you'd get in your info panel or your text panel, things like progressive upgrades to decals, like Thargoid kills, like say you enlist in the Federal Navy, for instance, have Eagles killed, cutters, clippers, and couriers. And you'd have a list there as a decal of this is the amount of Imperial Navy cutters that I've killed.
I think that'd be better if that's how ranking up worked.
It would, but I think what we need a lot better rewards other than decals and money.
Yep.
I think because we've already got a system in game and it's in the lore, and that's the Pilots Federation. So these are the guys that give you the rank. Going back to the original Elite, I used to play the original Elite. There was secret missions that would pop up on a kind of RNG basis, and it was specifically from Pilots Federation. One of them was you had to track down an experimental ship that was stolen, and it could jump further than you could. You'd get reports of it, and it could also cloak. And coincidentally, it was actually the back in the day, it was actually the Constrictor. If anyone's ever played Elite 2,
Oh,
it was one of
wow,
them.
really?
So
I
went
never
out.
actually come across that as a mission.
It was actually quite cool, because once you got the kill and you scooped up the wreckage and took it back to hand in the mission in, you got the cloaking device for your Cobra.
Oh, nice.
That totally doesn't sound OP.
That
Well,
sounds awesome.
I think that's what we need. I think what we
Yeah.
need is we need items that you can bolt onto your ship that tells the story. So, for example, you do Pirates Federation start taking notice of you because you're killing Thargoids. They turn around and go, right, well, we're going to reward you. We're going to give you a kind of a legacy Cobra Mark III. But it's kind of different to your standard Cobra Mark III because it's got better power,
Yes, I
a
got
lot
that.
more shields,
actually-
and it looks better as well.
Or something that I would like to see is like battle scars, like legitimate. So I fight a Thargoid and I've been hit with corrosion. I could fix structural damage and the hull damage and all of that, but I could make a choice as to leave that as an actual battle scar on my Corvette, say. So I've got a bit of corrosion on, say, a portion of my windscreen. You know, off on my right side, there's a bit of glass off in the corner that's a bit corroded and bubbled and looks a bit fucked. It doesn't actually compromise its integrity too much. You could actually add that in if you wanted, but that's a neither here nor
The
there.
chair's melted.
But it's there. No, not the chair's melted or anything like that, but there's like bits of hull that are scarred, or, you know, if I've been hit by a missile, there should be a little bit of my hull that's a little bit concave, you know. Add a little bit of active battle damage so that every ship, that if you look at it, tells a bit of a story. If you want it to. Like, again, I think personally that should be down to player choice.
They have that on the
If you wanna
condo.
leave a certain battle scar, but you have to go out and get it.
Yeah, exactly. You can't say I like this bit type of thing and keep it. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Like same with maybe because you're a terrible pilot, parts of maybe some of the bobbleheads or something maybe is melted. That'd be kind of cool. Because you're terrible at fuel scooping and you keep fucking slamming into the sun. Maybe either a bobblehead is melted or some parts of your like seat that you're sitting in is melted or something. You know.
Christmas tree gets melted.
That'd be kind of cool.
To bring it back to what Danger Vince was saying, I think that's more a matter of like, if you were gonna get modules that you got from specific enemies, that would be more. If you could show that sort of thing off, and actually show, hey, I went on this really hard, quote-unquote, raid, and I got this
Titles.
bit of either cosmetic gear or, you know, active gear that I can show off on my ship. So, say that there's a Thargoid modified multi-cannon, and I farmed that raid, quote-unquote raid, again, twice to get 2 of them and strap them to the back of my Corvette. They do corrosive damage in 8.
What would we not like? It's a bit like how people that have played Star Conflict, Geddy and Danger Vince can probably agree with this. And it's Star Conflict have got a thing to where if you kill an alien, they have aliens in Star Conflict, pretty cool, scary as fuck, will wreck you. If you kill one of them, you get the I think it's if you kill 2, I don't remember, but you get a title, and it's Alien Hunter or Alien Assassin or something. You could kind of balance that into where with achievements, what Xbox has, for example, which is you go and do whatever, and it's like, here you go, here's an achievement which is you got 2 billion credits, and that could be a title which is money or something, you know, I don't know, but
Actually, no.
and it could be your choice whether to wear it or not, because other people could see it and be like, oh, this guy's obviously rich, I'm going to interdict him, and then they see somebody who's in a color in their rank is, I'm poor, basically, and they're like, well, why would I interdict him? He's poor, he doesn't have anything.
That's something I really liked in EDSM is the badges. Like, to me, that's freaking cool. Like,
Yeah,
that,
agreed.
at the very least, is a method of progression that exists, and it looks good. I'd love to have this as an implemented feature in-game.
I mean, it could also be dynamic as well. You could have titles Hero of the Empire or Hero of the Federation. Could you imagine having that title on active and going, you know, Hero of the Federation, you go into Empire space, all of a sudden stations are a little bit shirty with you. You know, you find yourself getting, you know, interdicted a little bit more by, you know, local security to see, you know, what you're up to. It might actually put a bounty on your head. It's not a literal bounty, but an actual target on your head. So to say, yeah, kill this guy and, you know, he's Hero of the Federation, kill him in Imperial space, and you'll get the reward handsomely.
Yeah, that'd be kind of nice again, but that probably wouldn't work, especially if it's players versus whoever, because again, solo, open, private, you know, you can just, oh, what? I've got this thing on top of my head that everyone wants to kill me if I'm in Empire space. Oh, I'm about to enter Empire space. Okay, off to my private group I go, with only me in it, you know, and there you go. Like, and then you've also got, like, I think the Bobfish said, which is ranking up with the Pilots Federation is not exactly worth it at all. You basically just get better payouts, like maybe a permit, all of that different stuff. You don't really, you know, get anything that is really important with ranking up with factions.
Yeah, like, I guess, you know, the whole getting a different sticker, that could be counted as getting a thing. But honestly,
Paint job.
Who looks at stickers? If I'm flying by you at 300 meters a second, drifting past you in my cutter, I'm not looking at your stickers. I'm looking at where your hull is, where you're positioned in relative space to me. I couldn't give a fuck what rank you are. Like, I'll look down at my left-hand panel and go, oh, look, it's a dangerous. Oh, no. And shoot the fuck out of you. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But, like you said, there's no real meaning. And I think, just looking at his comment, we need more rewards. My problem with just going, well, here's a bunch more rewards, here's a bunch more grind to get it, there has to be a reason. Like, for me, I sat there and went, before they actually nerfed out the mission system, because I did get a little bit of a hint that that was coming down the pipe in the next few days, I went out and got myself King Admiral, just so that, you want to nerf the mission system? Can't fuck with me, assholes. Suck shit. just to be a bit of a cheeky cunt about it.
This
But,
this is probably what you're gonna say. Exactly what I'm thinking right now, and it's that.
hang on.
Okay, I'll let you.
No, it's more a matter of just adding grind for the sake of grind to get a little thing isn't really what I would call worth it, because yeah, there's the whole idea of player-driven story and fantastic reward or
Yep.
whatever exciting thing that FDev wants to put up when they're up on stage. While cool, there has to be an active, either personal reason for you to want to do that, or, yeah, basically a community reason, which again links back to clans, which we've already banged on about, and we'll probably end up banging on about for every podcast whenever we end up doing one.
What
But yeah, go ahead, Super.
what there should be. It's very, 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 very simple, and it's when you rank up with the Federation, and congratulations, you're King. Well, it's Admiral. Okay, you're Admiral, and it's like, sup, how's it going, Admiral Twat, whatever your name is, Commander bracket, and it's like, cool, you're Admiral now. Spoilers, you want to go rank up with the Empire? You can't. Jog on, like, or.
Yeah.
As you're ranking up with the Empire, the Federation start hating you, and are like, what are you doing? I thought we were friends,
Right now, all that.
Yeah,
Considering it's meant to be a Cold War, it's not much of a Cold War, but you can do that.
how come I can be King Admiral, Triple Elite, bloody, all that jazz? It should be King or Admiral, or maybe half and half.
I mean, this conflict is pretty much modelled on the Cold War. I mean, NATO versus the Warsaw Pact.
Mhm.
Back in the day, if you were British and you decided, you know what, I'm actually just going to walk across the Iron Curtain for a week and then come back, but you work for the intelligence services, yeah, you'd probably disappear again. Not by the Soviets, by your own side, because they would turn around and go, okay, well, what the fucking hell were you doing at the other side of the Iron Curtain?
Yeah,
with
what were you doing? What were you telling them? Tell us now. Oh, I wasn't doing anything. I was just having a cup of tea and all that. No, you're a traitor. Dead. Like.
That's what it comes down to. You end up
There's
in
no
an
sense.
unmarked grave, and that's yeah. But I think
That's like working for Apple and then walking over to Samsung and having a chat with one of the fucking developers at Samsung. No, that's called corporate espionage. No.
I mean, right now
No,
I can fly an Imperial Cutter and a Corvette.
Yeah.
This does not make any sense.
Yeah, but to me personally, I think they want to keep that for reasons of gameplay. Then whatever.
What they said is they don't want to
Sort of do
lock.
away with that and not care. I think in that faction space, recognition of rank. Like I shouldn't.
Yeah.
As my rank is king, I shouldn't just rock up into any never visited before Imperial system and for them to just treat me like any random asshole just come flying in from the trading route. They
Yeah.
should go, oh, King, King Jathaal, sorry, we weren't expecting you. Let's prepare landing pad 25. Please stay with us as long as you'd like, sir, and actually show you a modicum of respect.
Yeah.
That-
Same with when security pull you out.
Yeah.
This is a military introduction, Commander. Do you have any idea who I am? I'm an admiral.
They pull you out and go,
Oh, sorry, sir.
Lord,
That'd be
There
great.
you go. But that sort of actual active recognition that gives there not only a gameplay
Immersion.
reason, but a personal story reason to go and get that sort of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are a duke, if you are a lord or whatever rank you are in whatever faction, even if the fucking Backbirth Alliance ends up with their own naval bullshit later, you should have an active rank.
You should also be able to choose what you want your primary rank to be. Like, you shouldn't be able to be both. You should just be like, okay, I want my primary rank to be king or primary rank to be admiral, and then they're like, hi, how's it going, sir? Or yeah, okay, imagine you're king, and then you go into the federal space, and they pull you out. This is a military introduction, Commander. Pull out, and they go, "Oh, you're a king. Ah, stay here, Commander." As more security jump in and say, basically chuck the keys out the window.
You or
Yeah, or escort you
whatever,
off
so
system.
you don't deviate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You're not welcome here,
actually
Commander.
Have there be an active gameplay and story-driven reason to have these ranks, to not only attain them, but to have them take part in what you do.
Yep.
That,
Other than a
to me, would
ship.
be one of the more important aspects.
Other than a ship and a permit. Pretty.
I know they want to avoid locking people out, but you can still have that system where, you're a king. You go, I'm just going to fly to Seoul because I've just skipped enough rank to get the permit to get in. The moment you get in there, you should be questioned. It's like a case of,
Why are you here?
Come in, but why are you here?
Yeah.
You- you know.
Why is it a imperial king here? Like, for what purpose? Oh, because I wanted to visit the homeworld. Okay, but we'll be keeping you under constant surveillance. You mess up once, and say you accidentally shoot someone. There's assault. Oh, look, there's 10 security ships that are going. What'd you fucking do that for, King? Hey, here's this. Get the fuck up out of our system, or we're gonna nuke you into next year. That sort of actual active gameplay reason to have that.
Yep.
Alright, so we've literally spent nearly the last 2 hours going through everything I have had at length, at extreme length, and
You didn't ask me.
a couple of questions. Hey?
You didn't ask me about the 2 years one. Right.
Yeah, I did. You got cut off.
Oh, did I?
Sorry.
No, it's because Rhodey cut me off.
No. You brought it up now. Screw you. Before we actually finish it out, what would you want to see in the next sort of 2 years, man?
I obviously, I want clans. No, that I want that within a year. But within 2 years, I would say this is probably what Bobblefish, Blobfish was saying, which is ability to make bases on planets and maybe even take over a whole planet with a base or some jazz like that. That'd be like really awesome and actually really cool, because then you could have like the dark side of the planet could be some maybe illegal drug den and all that stuff, which people never see because it's on the dark side of the planet and all that jazz, and then maybe it could get to the point where you colonize the whole planet to where that's no moon, it turns into a, I don't know what that's called, giant metropolis, basically. And that'd be really nice.
Basically, you'd like to have more, again, player-driven story, player-driven interaction with the world, which I think that's pretty much been the theme for tonight. So,
Yep.
yeah, no, I think that's a really good spot to finish our very, very first Wullfpack podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, or really, I'm pretty sure
Anybody.
probably just gentlemen. I'm not meaning to assume anyone's genders, but yeah.
Great.
Thank you everyone for watching. We will be doing another one of these more than likely same time next week, around 11 a.m. UTC. Been fantastic to have you all on, and we will see you for the next Wullfpack podcast. I've been Commander Jathaal. Introduce yourselves, lads.
I've been SirSuperDeath, and remember, like, subscribe, all that jazz, right? Follow, yeah.
Roddy?
Roddy's dead.
Rip.
Is he dead? Okay, I'm Commander
Okay.
Danger Vince. You'll probably see me floating about the private group, either hunting Thargoids or whatever. If you see me, just throw an invite. Happy to join in.
Alright, fantastic. Thanks, lads. Thanks for joining in. And as always, fly safe, commanders. I'll see you soon.